Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Brendan. I am here with John.
Hello.
He says hi.
I do.
You heard that.
I bought a sweater. I remember last winter,
Oh, yeah?
and it was picking up so much static electricity. So I took it back to the store, and the guy gave me another one free of charge.
That's good.
No reason to follow up with anything.
You want that free of charge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So, what's going
Yep.
on, man?
I really love France.
And by love, I think he means not love. Tell me about it. What? Why?
Well, in France, if you want to buy, I don't know, like some over-the-counter medication
Yeah.
for a kid's ear infection
Oh,
at the
okay.
pharmacy,
I can see this going south real fast. Yeah, go ahead.
you can't do it
Because,
because it's controlled by an administration. And the pharmacists who go to school and have their degrees in pharmacy, and I don't know if it takes 4 years or more, but it's at least 4 years,
yeah.
and are educated, are apparently not educated enough, even though they know exactly what to give a kid for an ear infection. No, you have to schedule an appointment with a doctor, which may take 3 weeks or more. And then that doctor has to do an exam. And if that doctor can't do an exam, that doctor has to refer you to a specialist. And that specialist will then give you a little note that allows you to go get the ear infection medication that you need. Everything is like that here. And the
Um,
people
yeah.
are super frustrated all the time.
Mm.
You see this look on their face. You can't see my face, but it looks
I
like this.
know. I'm
It
wishing
goes
that
like
you guys
this.
could see John's body language right now.
It
He's
goes. They're always blowing out of their lower lip up. Always. Always. They're like, ooh. Why are they doing that? Because everyone's fucking frustrated because nobody can get anything done. And the reason
yeah.
they can't get anything done is because everything is controlled. And the reason it's controlled is
Mm.
because even though they say they hate it, nobody wants to take responsibility.
Mm.
Everybody wants someone else to be liable if they make a mistake.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from?
Absolute cowardice.
I,
Fucking
I feel
cowardice.
I feel for John right now. He looks upset. Which if I was in
All I
your shoes,
wanted was some
tell it, dude.
goddamn medication for my
Spill it, bro.
kid's ear infection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to wait 6 weeks for that.
By that time, the motherfucker's ear's falling off. Or the infection's just gone
Or
because
it's
it's
just run
just
its
worked
course.
run its course, and now something that could have been like a 2 day ordeal is now paying for weeks. For
In
what?
all seriousness, I think there's a level of freedom and responsibility both. They go hand in hand. They go
Mm,
neck and neck. They are together. They are one side each of the same coin. And people on this side of the pond, and it's not just the French, it's apparently most European states and most places, honestly, that are fairly
yeah.
civilized outside of the US, they just don't know how to let it go. Like
Well,
let
let what go?
let people who are actually professionals in their field practice their profession. Like give them the responsibility. Stop taking the responsibility away. Stop trying to
Right.
control everything with so many rules put together by people who generally don't know what the hell they're doing anyway. They're
Yeah.
administrators, they're bureaucrats, they're not pharmacists.
Yeah.
And this applies not just in pharmacy, it applies all over the place.
Yeah, it reminds me of a of a story. Dude, I hear you that. I mean, I started to get frustrated just hearing you talk about that because I mean, I live down, I live in Texas. Say you want to build a house in Texas, for example. They're like, well, because I went to visit my family in Vermont, and they're like talking to me about it and doing this stuff. Yeah, well, I'm up to this and that and the other thing, and they're like, well, did you get a licensed electrician in there? I'm like, no, don't need one. Why? Because there isn't fucking red tape to go through. Now, what does that mean? That means that now if I do the electricity, which is not hard, by the way, you just have to have a little bit of brains and you make sure all the connections are tight and you don't touch things from point A to point B that aren't supposed to touch from point A to point B. If you can do that, you got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but that means that I'm responsible to not fuck that up and I could burn it down, but that's on
Sure.
me. But the thing is, I can just fucking do that. I can just put a house on the ground. Can't do that in California. Can't do
You
that
can't
in
do that in a lot
France.
of places, and I think in a lot of places where you can't do that, the majority of people do not, I mean, people here, they expect to go through mountains of red tape to the point that they cannot conceive of doing their own electricity without having to, you know, go through some procedure with probably multiple parties. It doesn't even occur to them that they
Dude.
could do something on their own. And that mentality is so rampant, so everywhere. It's thick. It's like the water that everyone is swimming in. And
Yeah.
it feels like I'm drowning. It's disgusting, quite frankly. I mean, I just
Mm,
get disgusted by it. I have a
yeah.
really strong reaction. I've got to, but I want to turn it off. But I just get confronted with it day after day after day.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And especially like when yeah, if you're the type of guy that when you want to get some shit done, you want to get it done and you
Hmm.
can't.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and the thing that people say here is what
Yeah.
they say it's impossible.
Bullshit.
And I
Right.
want
They say it.
yes,
Yeah. They say it and
they
it's bullshit.
say c'est impossible. And you hear that if you try to get anything done here, you're going to hear c'est impossible 55 times before you get it halfway done. Like people are so ready to tell you why it can't be done. And and I swear to God, I get a sick gleam in people's eyes. They get off to it. They
Mm.
like it. They like it. Even though they're so frustrated with it, they like it. It's sick. It's
Okay.
really weird. I mean, not everybody, but I really do see that. There's like a kind of perverse sadism or something in it because they're so frustrated and miserable and they're sharing it with you.
Hmm.
I mean, that part is the really dark side, and not everyone's like that all the time, but I do see it sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I want to move out into the woods,
Yeah.
like where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are control freaks, and they're scared of responsibility and freedom.
What do you mean by responsibility?
Well, exactly like what you said, about
Like I've
putting
got
your
the
house
freedom.
together.
I've got the freedom to do these things, but if I fuck up, it's on me.
You can't separate
That
the
kind of
two.
thing.
If you have freedom of speech, well, freedom of speech is a power, and you can
Yeah.
be extremely destructive with that freedom of speech. Now, I am a very, very big proponent of freedom of speech. If
Yeah.
you have the freedom to carry a gun, clearly you have a power. You can be destructive with that. And if you
Yeah.
have freedom to do your own electricity, then yeah, you can burn your house down. You can injure yourself. You could potentially hurt someone else. You have
Yeah.
freedom to drive a car, et cetera, et cetera. It's power, and
Hmm.
power has consequences, and you can't escape that. And what I see in France relative to Texas, and it's they're not, of course, there many exceptions, but in general, why do a lot of people move to Texas? Well, it's because it's easier for them to get stuff done.
Yeah.
and because just Texas just tends not to regulate things as much as other things. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there should never be regulation. Like if you're a company and you're putting, um, you know, toxic chemicals in the
Yeah.
water or something, and you're hurting other people and the environment and stuff, then yeah, someone needs to tell you to stop. But
Yeah.
you can't do destructive things. But my general value is like maximize the freedom and responsibility without destroying everything and everyone. Like,
Right. Yes, that totally outlines the challenge. I think that is the challenge. And like in the US back in the day, we had kids working in coal mines, and and they would work a fuck ton of hours, say, for example, or everybody would work in the coal mines, but the amount of money they were making in the coal mines wasn't enough to make it. So then they would borrow from the company store, and because that they were borrowing from the
it
store,
was
they'd like
slavery.
locked in. Yeah, it's
It was
basically
slavery, and then
slavery.
they're getting black lung disease and all
Right.
that stuff.
And then
Yeah,
so then you need, like, we do need regulations, because if you leave a bunch of humans with no laws somewhere to do something, it's anarchy. It's crazy. Like,
yeah.
people
But
will
then,
take advantage, but then where do you draw the line?
yeah, there's no perfect answer. There's no perfect answer. And should that be like one big centralized state? Like should the feds regulate that? Or could the state of Kentucky, regulate that?
Yeah. And then
I
where do
tend to
you
prefer local doing the
Yeah.
regulations. It's almost always better than going big, because big, they don't know all of the nuances.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you can anyway.
You know what I think would work for that? I think there's a principle that
Mm,
can work, and it's balance.
mm,
And somehow we balance between maximum freedom, and you also balance that with, care of the people. But then it can get out of balance. Like when I see France, I'm like, no, that's out of balance. Like I heard a story about, if you want to teach Tai Chi in France, you need a fucking license.
yeah.
Why, Peter goes off about that. Like, why the fuck would you need a license to teach Tai Chi? It's like, who cares? What?
Everything. If it's got an official name, you have to get some kind of certificate to do it. And when you go to get the
And
certificate,
who gives you the
every
certificate?
everything is in a box, and you need to check the box. And if it's not in the box, it doesn't exist.
It's like,
It's the mentality.
yeah, dude, how frustrating is that? Fuck that bullshit. So what do we what do we do? I've got to get going in like probably 7 minutes here.
Okay. Well, so tell me more about this principle of balance, and maybe so like bringing it home to
Yeah.
personal balance, personal responsibility, personal freedom.
Yeah, well, what about just getting you freed up from that?
I'd have to give up my anger.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably have to. It's like
Or maybe
when
I
I
don't. Maybe I don't have to give up my anger.
well, yeah, or at least acknowledge, like, if you want freedom, in this case, I suspect that freedom in lies in accepting that which is out of your control, and
Yeah.
taking, if we want to talk responsibility, like being responsible for your say in your own reactivity, which would be
Mm-hmm.
like, you obviously, and probably getting in touch with the hurt. If you're mad, it's because you're hurt, and likely, just speculating here, you're not getting your way, for one thing. I mean, I started to experience anger listening to your story, because I'm like, oh no, my kid, ear infection, can't get a fucking over the counter. You see, I'm starting to get mad again.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get a goddamn over the counter medication. Not happening. yeah, I'd have to give up like things should not work this way. They should work some other way. I'm used to X, Y, and Z freedom. I could just walk into a goddamn pharmacy in Texas or wherever in the US and then pick this stuff up, and I can't. Ergo, I'm not getting what I want. And probably some other shit about I'm not
There's
serving my kid. Your kid's
yeah,
in pain. You'd have
and
to
there's also
accept all
something
that.
about I'm getting I don't like getting talked down. I feel like I'm getting belittled. Like
Mm,
I'm getting treated like I'm a child who can't make any decisions, and so is everyone
mhm.
around me.
Okay.
And I just want everyone to like just everyone would you just please grow up? Like we don't have to do this. Like I want to try to persuade other people to, you know, you know, try to make changes. Like you guys can vote, try to do something about this.
Mm,
Nobody's interested. Everybody's just apathetic and depressed and like it can never change because I can't conceive.
yeah.
And it's like
The same French thing that everybody's
and I'm
doing.
doing the same French face now, but I'm doing it about
C'est
the
impossible.
French.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
what would you? Well, yeah. Maybe they need somebody like you to shake things up.
I think they need a million somebody's like me to shake things up.
Yeah, or
I think
just
they need like a large posse of Texans to move to France. just
you go on the phone.
just start doing shit,
Just
just start
start.
building things and doing their own electricity and homeschooling their kids and just doing things the way
Yeah.
that they want to, not
Here's
hurting
how.
anybody, not messing with anybody, but just not being regulated.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring the fucking libertarian Texas.
Exactly.
Fucking. I
I
know some
wonder if
guys like
that's
that.
what I am. I've just got a
I
real
think
libertarian,
you
like don't
streak.
mess with people thing.
Yeah, I would
Bothers me.
suspect that. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think so. Don't mess. Don't tell me what to do.
Hmm. And I don't like it when other people tell other people what to do either.
Yeah,
That
you
also
definitely
pisses
don't
me
like
off.
that. That's your like punk rock vibe, I think, or whatever. Is that punk rock?
I don't know. Well, punk rock is like I associate punk rock with like if they look at anybody who succeeds, that person is automatically suspect. And I do not have that. Like I
Okay.
think if somebody is succeeding, like unless you can prove that they were doing something bad,
Yeah.
then awesome. That's good on them. Like that inspires me. But
Yeah.
I think that's another thing. A lot of people around here, they do have that punk rock vibe. Like if somebody succeeds, they're automatically suspect. Like if you see somebody who's really rich, people don't show their money around here because other people assume
It's that like
that that
tall
person did
poppy
something
thing,
bad.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
You
you
wanna
you don't want
you
to
wanna
rise
keep your
up
head
because
down.
you see, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. It's like why not celebrate people that are kicking ass in their field?
But I heard tell from a guy who's obviously an authority because I can't remember his name. Um,
Yeah.
that if you look at cultural ratings for envy, like envy of others,
Mm-hmm.
like the U.S. ranks like at the bottom. Like it's one of the least envious countries in the world. And I think
Mm.
it's because we get told from a very early age, and a lot of states are not nearly as well regulated or as heavily regulated as many other countries, that you can do anything. You want to be the president of the United States, you can do it. You want to be whatever you want to be, you're an astronaut, you can do it. Like we're kind of taught that when we're kids.
Yeah.
And so when we see someone who's doing well, we don't think, oh, why does he have this and I don't have it? We just think, cool, that means I can get it. It's more common in the US. And I know that you get, like, you actually have to confront people's limitations in their mind all the time.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, outside the US, that self imposed limitation is much heavier and thicker. And people are far more worried about other people um, being having more than they do.
Right. Weird, man.
It's really common, and
Weird.
it's the water that Americans are swimming in, maybe not as much as it used to be, is that, you know what, it is possible. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know how yet, but I will figure out a way. Someone will help me. I will work it out. I will,
I
you
w-
know.
Interesting. We could I should get going. But we could talk about that in the next one. I
Hmm.
think perhaps some of that comes from pioneering culture, like cultural shit from back in the day. You know, what are Americans made of is, I mean, depending. And then there's Native Americans and then blah, 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 cultural. I'm not talking about that. Like that could get sticky.
Sure.
But we came over from, well, you know, on a
Yeah.
ship. We had to figure it the fuck out. Like not too long ago. What are we
Hmm.
doing? And these other embedded cultures, they had their systems of government set up for a long time.
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
like fucking wild people
Moving
trying to
out,
figure it out.
getting
Yeah.
away from that. Except now there's no new continent. We need to go into outer space
Antarctica,
or
the
something.
moon,
Antarctica. Yeah.
Mars. But anyway, yeah, we should cut it there. Good luck with that,
Thank you.
dude. Holy shit! I hope your kid gets his ear fixed up quick, because
I gave him some pain meds for
he
kids.
has an ear infection. You can probably stick some rubbing alcohol in there
Yeah.
and dry things out, sterilize
Yeah.
some things, like a couple drops of rubbing alcohol, and then
That's true.
wiggle it around. Do some research. Maybe check that out. Fuck it.
Take some responsibility.
Yeah, put some DIY on that shit. Yeah, take
Yeah.
responsibility. Probably wouldn't make it worse. Might help
No.
it. I don't know.
All right,
Cool.
bro. Well, everyone, come do a workshop.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Come to a workshop. Light us up in the comments. What do you think about the situation?
Yeah.
Honestly, consider it. Tell us. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Gotta go. See you, man.
Yep.
Bye.